Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session on mindfulness techniques for ADHD impulsivity control. My name is Mary, and I'll be your guide as we explore these powerful strategies for managing impulsivity and enhancing self regulation. Now, before we dive into our topic, let me introduce you to Easy Does It Counseling, the team behind this psychoeducation and skills training series. We're an online counseling service dedicated to providing specialized care for LGBTQIA+ individuals, neurodiverse communities, and those navigating suicidality. Our team of BIPOC therapists bring a wealth of experience and a unique perspective to our work. At Easy Does It Counseling, we believe in collaborative care that honors your self-determination and individual experiences. We're not just here to treat symptoms, we're here to partner with you on your journey towards better mental health and well being. Whether you're seeking support for ADHD management, gender affirming care, or any aspect of your mental health journey, we're here to walk alongside you. Now, let's turn our attention to today's topic: mindfulness techniques for ADHD impulsivity control. Today, we'll explore how these simple yet powerful practices can be game changers for those managing ADHD, particularly when it comes to impulsivity. We'll cover what mindfulness is, why it's particularly beneficial for ADHD, and most importantly, how you can start using these techniques in your daily life. This session is designed to be interactive, even though it is pre recorded. I encourage you to pause, rewind, or take breaks as needed. This is your learning experience, and it's important that you engage with the material at a pace that feels right for you. Let's start with an overview of what we'll cover in today's session. This roadmap will guide our exploration of mindfulness techniques and their applications for ADHD impulsivity control. First, we'll dive into what mindfulness actually is. We'll explore its basic principles and how it relates to ADHD management. Next, we'll discuss why mindfulness is particularly beneficial for individuals with ADHD, especially in controlling impulsivity. You'll learn how these techniques can address specific ADHD-related challenges. Then we'll walk through several mindfulness techniques step by step. This will be the heart of our session, where you'll learn practical skills to implement in your daily life. After that, we'll cover some practice tips specifically tailored for those with ADHD. These suggestions will help you incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine effectively. Finally, we'll address potential challenges you might face when practicing mindfulness and to offer solutions to overcome these obstacles. Throughout this presentation, I encourage you to think about how these concepts might apply to your own life. Consider your current challenges with ADHD impulsivity and how mindfulness might help address them. Feel free to write down any questions or thoughts that come up. We'll have time for reflection at the end of each section. Remember, the goal of this session is not just to provide information, but to equip you with practical tools that you can use in your daily life to manage ADHD symptoms better. So, what exactly is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a mental state and practice that involves bringing one's attention to the present moment. It's about being fully aware of what's happening right now, both within you and around you, without getting caught up in judgments or reactions to these experiences. At its essence, mindfulness involves present moment awareness. This means focusing your attention on what's happening right now rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. For individuals with ADHD who often struggle with racing thoughts or getting lost in daydreams, this aspect of mindfulness can be particularly beneficial. Next is non-judgmental observation. Mindfulness encourages us to observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without labeling them as good or bad. This non judgmental stance can be especially helpful for those with ADHD who might be prone to self criticism or negative self talk. Cultivation of self awareness. Through regular practice, mindfulness helps us become more aware of our patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. This increased self awareness is crucial for managing ADHD symptoms, particularly impulsivity. Next is promotion of emotional regulation. By helping us observe our emotions without immediately reacting to them, mindfulness can improve our ability to manage our emotional responses. This is particularly valuable for individuals with ADHD who may struggle with emotional dysregulation. And lastly, enhancement of focus and overall well being. Regular mindfulness practice has been shown to improve attention and concentration, as well as overall mental health and well being. For those with ADHD, these benefits can be life changing. It's important to note that mindfulness is not about emptying our mind or achieving a state of perfect calm. Rather, it's about developing a different relationship with your thoughts and experiences. It's about learning to observe without immediately reacting, which can be incredibly powerful for managing impulsivity. For individuals with ADHD who often experience a constant stream of thoughts and impulses, mindfulness can provide a much needed pause button. It offers a way to step back from the whirlwind of thoughts and create space for more deliberate, thoughtful responses. Now, I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever had moments of mindfulness, even if you didn't call them that at the time? Perhaps times when you were fully absorbed in an activity or when you noticed yourself about to react impulsively, but managed to pause. Understanding your starting point can help you better appreciate the potential benefits of mindfulness practice. In our next slide, we'll explore more specifically why mindfulness can be helpful for managing ADHD symptoms. Remember, we'll be going through specific techniques in detail and later in the session, so you do not need to worry if you're not quite sure how to practice mindfulness yet. And now that we understand what mindfulness is, let's explore why it's particularly beneficial for individuals with ADHD, especially in controlling impulsivity. Mindfulness offers several key benefits that directly address common ADHD symptoms and challenges. First and foremost, mindfulness increases awareness. Many people with ADHD struggle with impulsivity because they act without fully registering what they're doing or why. Mindfulness fosters greater awareness of impulsive triggers, enabling individuals to recognize when they're about to act without thinking. This increased self awareness is the first step in gaining control over impulsive behaviors. For example, you might become aware that you tend to interrupt others when you're excited about a topic. Simply noticing this pattern can be the first step in changing it. Secondly, mindfulness enhances emotional regulation. ADHD often comes with challenges in managing emotions, which can lead to impulsive actions or reactions. By observing thoughts and feelings without judgment, mindfulness helps individuals better manage their emotional responses. This can reduce emotionally driven impulsive behaviors. For instance, if you tend to make impulsive purchases when you're feeling down, mindfulness can help you recognize this emotional trigger without immediately acting on it. Third, mindfulness promotes focus. The practice of repeatedly bringing your attention back to the present moment in mindfulness exercises can improve overall attention and concentration. This enhanced focus can help reduce distractibility, which is often linked to impulsive behaviors in ADHD. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly for impulsivity control, mindfulness encourages pausing. It creates a space between stimulus and responses, allowing for more deliberate decision making. This pause can be crucial for individuals with ADHD who often struggle with acting on impulse. For example, in a moment of frustration, instead of immediately lashing out, mindfulness can help you pause, take a breath, and choose a more measured response. It's important to note that these benefits are interconnected. For example, by increasing awareness and promoting focus, mindfulness indirectly supports better emotional regulation and the ability to pause before acting. Now, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own experiences with ADHD and impulsivity. Can you identify situations where being more mindful might have helped you manage your impulses better? How do you think regular mindfulness practices might impact your daily life? Feel free to pause the video here if you want to take some time to think about this. Remember, while mindfulness can be a powerful tool for managing ADHD symptoms, it's not a replacement for other treatments. Rather, it's a complementary technique that can enhance your overall ADHD management strategy. When used consistently alongside other treatments and techniques, mindfulness can significantly improve your ability to navigate the challenges of ADHD. In our next section, we'll dive into specific mindfulness techniques you can use to control impulsivity. But before we move on, I want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of why mindfulness can be so beneficial for managing ADHD and impulsivity. If you're feeling unsure about any aspect, remember that we'll be exploring these concepts further with practical examples as we continue. And you can also pause the video right here if you need time to think. Now that we understand what mindfulness is and why it's beneficial for ADHD impulsivity control, let's dive into some specific techniques. We'll go through 3 powerful mindfulness practices step by step. After we discuss each technique, we'll take a moment to practice it together. One is mindful breathing. This is a foundational mindfulness practice that can be incredibly helpful for managing impulsivity. The first step is to find a comfortable position. Sit or lie down in a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Keep your back straight but not tense. Focus on your breath. Take a few deep breaths to start, then allow your breathing to settle into its natural rhythm. Pay attention to the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. You might notice the air moving through your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest, or the expansion of your belly. Next, notice distractions. If your mind wanders, which is completely normal, especially for those with ADHD, gently bring your focus back to your breath without judgment. The key is to notice when your attention has drifted and to kindly redirect it. Now let's practice this together for a minute and I'll help guide you through it. So find a comfortable position, sit or lie down. Make sure it's a quiet space where you won't be disturbed and keep your back straight but not tense. Now focus on your breath and take a few deep breaths to start. Pay attention to the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Next is notice the distractions. Again, if your mind wanders, it's perfectly normal. Just bring back your focus and breathe without judgment. Now remember, it's totally normal for your mind to wander. The practice is in noticing and gently returning your attention to your breath. 2 is body scan. This technique helps increase body awareness and can be particularly grounding for those with ADHD. So to do it, first is lie down comfortably. Find a quiet place where you can lie down without being disturbed. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Focus on each body part. Start from your toes and gradually move up to your head. Pay attention to any sensations or areas of tension in each part of your body. Next is observe without judgment. As you scan each part of your body, simply notice that you feel what you feel without trying to change anything. If you notice tension, just acknowledge it. If your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to the body part you're focusing on. Let's try a brief body scan together. We'll just do a quick version focusing on a few key areas. So 1, lie down comfortably, find a quiet place, close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Focus on each body part. Pay attention to any sensations or areas of tension in each part of your body. Again, if you notice tension, just acknowledge it. And if your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to the body part you're focusing on. This practice can help you become more aware of physical sensations that might precede impulsive actions, allowing you to catch yourself before acting on impulse. And lastly is the 5 senses exercise. This is a quick grounding technique that can be especially helpful in moments when you feel the urge to act impulsively. Here's how it works. First is ground yourself. Wherever you are, take a moment to pause and observe your surroundings. Engage your senses. 1 is sight. Identify 5 things you can see around you. Next is sound. Listen for 4 distinct sounds you can hear. Third is touch. Notice 3 things you can feel. Examples are the texture of your clothing, the temperature of the air. Fourth is smell. Try to identify 2 scents in your environment. And lastly, taste. Focus on 1 taste in your mouth or simply notice the absence of taste. Lastly, just reflect. Take a moment to notice how this exercise made you feel more present and grounded. Now we can try this exercise together. 1 is ground yourself. Just take a moment and observe your surroundings. Now identify 5 things you can see around you. Listen for 4 distinct sounds that you can hear. Notice 3 things that you can feel. Try to identify 2 scents in your environment and focus on 1 taste in your mouth. Now, this technique can be particularly helpful in moments when you feel overwhelmed or on the verge of acting impulsively. It quickly brings your attention to the present moment, creating a pause that can prevent impulsive actions. These 3 techniques, mindful breathing, body scan, and the 5 senses exercise, are powerful tools for managing ADHD and controlling impulsivity. In our next slide, we'll discuss some practical tips for incorporating these techniques into your daily life. Remember, like any skill, these techniques become more effective with regular practice. Now that we've learned some specific mindfulness techniques, let's discuss some practical tips for incorporating them into your daily life. These tips are especially tailored for individuals with ADHD, taking into account the unique challenges you might face when trying to establish a new habit. First is start small. For those with ADHD, sitting still and focusing for extended periods can be challenging. Start with short mindfulness sessions, perhaps just 5 minutes, and gradually extend the time as you become more comfortable with practice. Remember, consistency is more important than duration. A short session done regularly is more beneficial than longer, infrequent sessions. You might even start with just 1 minute of mindful breathing several times a day. 2 is use guided resources. Many people with ADHD find it helpful to use guided mindfulness resources. This could be mindfulness apps, guided meditation recordings, or even YouTube videos. These resources provide structure and external cues, which can be particularly helpful for those who struggle with sustained attention. Some popular apps include Headspace, Calm, and Insight Timer, but feel free to explore and find one that resonates with you. Third is schedule regular practice. Consistency is key when developing any new habit, but it can be especially challenging for those with ADHD. Try to incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine by linking it to existing habits. For example, you might practice mindful breathing right after brushing your teeth in the morning, do a quick body scan during your lunch break, or use the five senses exercise before starting work or a study session. Set reminders on your phone or put sticky notes in places you'll see them to help you remember to practice. And fourth is combine with movement. If sitting still for mindfulness practice feels too challenging, try incorporating mindful movement. This could be yoga, tai chi, or even just mindful walking. The key is to focus your attention on the physical sensations of movement. For example, during a mindful walk, you might pay attention to the feeling of your feet touching the ground, the movement of your legs, or the sensation of the air on your skin. This combination of movement and mindfulness can be particularly engaging for individuals with ADHD. Remember, the goal is to make mindfulness a sustainable part of your routine. It's okay to adapt these tips to fit your specific needs and preferences. Some days will be easier than others, and that is perfectly normal. Now, I'd like you to take a moment to think about how you might incorporate these tips into your own mindfulness practice. Which one resonate with you the most? How could you adapt them to fit your lifestyle and preferences? Once again, feel free to pause the video here if you want to write down some ideas or reflect on this. In our next slide, we'll address some common challenges you might face when practicing mindfulness, along with strategies to overcome them. As we've discussed throughout this session, mindfulness can be incredibly beneficial for managing ADHD symptoms, particularly impulsivity. However, it is important to acknowledge that you might face some challenges when trying to incorporate this practice into your life. Let's discuss some common challenges and explore strategies to overcome them. One is restlessness. One common challenge, especially for those with ADHD, is feeling restless during mindfulness practice. You might find it hard to sit still or feel an urge to move constantly. The solution: if you struggle with restlessness, start with mindful movement practices. This could be walking meditation, where you focus on the sensations of walking, or gentle yoga, where you pay attention to your body as you move through different poses. Remember, mindfulness doesn't have to mean sitting still. The key is to bring your attention to the present moment, which you can do while moving. You might also try shorter sessions to start with, gradually building up your ability to sit still for longer periods. Two is difficulty focusing. Another common challenge is difficulty maintaining focus during mindfulness practice. Your mind might wander frequently, or you might find yourself getting distracted by external stimuli. Solution: remember that mind wandering is a normal part of mindfulness practice, even for people without ADHD. The practice is in noticing when your mind has wandered and gently bringing it back. You might find it helpful to use a focal point, like counting your breaths or repeating a mantra in your head. The five senses exercise we learned earlier can also be a great way to refocus your attention when you're feeling particularly distracted. Don't be discouraged if you need to redirect your attention frequently. Each time you do so, you're strengthening your mindfulness muscle. And lastly, impatience. Many people, especially those with ADHD, might feel impatient with mindfulness practice. You might expect to see immediate results or feel frustrated if you don't feel calm right away. Solution for this: it's important to recognize that mindfulness is a skill that takes time to develop. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small progress. Instead of focusing on achieving a particular state of mind, try to focus and approach your practice with curiosity. What sensations do you notice in your body? What kinds of thoughts tend to come up? Remember that the goal isn't clear to your mind completely or achieve perfect calm. Every moment of awareness, even awareness of your own impatience, is a successful moment of mindfulness. It's important to remember that these challenges are normal and expected, especially when you're just first learning to practice mindfulness. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small successes. Each time you practice, even if it's just for a short moment, you're still building a valuable skill. Now, I'd like you to reflect on your own experiences. Have you encountered any of these challenges in your attempts to practice mindfulness or other relaxation techniques? Can you think of any other obstacles that might come up for you? How might you apply the solutions we've discussed to your specific situation? Feel free to pause the video here if you want to take some time to think about this or to write your thoughts down. Remember that overcoming these obstacles is part of the learning process, and each attempt at mindfulness, even if it doesn't feel successful, is helping you build this valuable skill for managing ADHD and impulsivity. As we come to the end of our session, let's take a moment to summarize the key points we have covered today. This recap will help reinforce what you've learned and give you a clear picture of how to move forward with incorporating mindfulness into your ADHD management strategy. First and foremost, we have learned that mindfulness is a powerful tool for managing ADHD symptoms, particularly impulsivity. It's not a cure-all or a replacement for other treatments, but rather a complementary technique that can significantly enhance your overall ADHD management strategy. We discussed how mindfulness works by creating awareness, enhancing emotional regulation, promoting focus, and encouraging pausing before acting. These benefits directly address many of the challenges associated with ADHD impulsivity. We then explored 3 mindfulness techniques. One is mindful breathing, which helps center your attention and calm your mind. 2 is the body scan, which increases body awareness and can help you notice physical signs of impulsivity. And 3 is 5 senses exercise, a quick grounding technique that can be especially helpful in moments of potential impulsivity. We also discussed practical tips for incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine, such as starting small, using guided resources, scheduling regular practice, and combining mindfulness with movement. Importantly, we acknowledge that there can be challenges in implementing mindfulness practice, such as restlessness, difficulty focusing, and impatience. We explored strategies to overcome these challenges, emphasizing the importance of adapting the practice to suit your needs and being patient with yourself. Remember, the key to success with mindfulness is consistent practice and finding ways to integrate it with other ADHD management strategies. It's important to be patient with yourself as you develop this new skill. Celebrate small successes along the way, like each time you remember to take a mindful moment or notice yourself pausing before acting impulsively. As you leave the session and begin to incorporate mindfulness into your life, I encourage you to approach it with an attitude of curiosity and self-compassion. Again, some days will be easier than others, and that is okay. Every time you practice, even if it doesn't feel successful, you're still strengthening your ability to manage your ADHD symptoms and promote your overall well-being. Now, I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on what you've learned today. What's your main takeaway? How do you plan to start incorporating mindfulness into your daily life? Is there anything you're still unsure about? Feel free to pause the video here if you want to write down your thoughts or spend some time reflecting on these questions. In our final slide, we'll wrap up and provide some additional resources. As we conclude our exploration of mindfulness techniques for ADHD impulsivity control, I want to express my heartfelt thanks for your engagement with this material. Your commitment to learning and growing is a significant step in your journey towards better ADHD management and overall well-being. As you move forward from this session, I encourage you to approach your mindfulness practice with curiosity and patience. Every time you engage in mindfulness, even for just a few moments, you're building a valuable skill that can help you manage your ADHD symptoms, particularly impulsivity, more effectively. If you find yourself wanting more support or guidance as you implement mindfulness into your routine, remember that Easy Does It Counseling is here for you. For those interested in our services or wanting to learn more about our approach, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can contact us at info@easydoesitcounseling.com. Additionally, if you found this session helpful, I encourage you to explore other workshops in our psychoeducation and skills training series. Each session is designed to provide practical, evidence-based strategies for managing various aspects of mental health and well-being. Thank you once again for your time and attention. I hope you found the session on mindfulness techniques for ADHD impulsivity control valuable and that you leave here feeling empowered with new tools to support your mental health. Take care.